What is going on, everybody? Casual Crypto here with a quick crash course on play to earn economics. A lot of us have been looking into the whole play to earn space with the rise of games like Axie Infinity and cryptoblades and Sandbox and even Decentraland. And you want to know like how to make a profit in these games and how not to get wrecked. Well, you come to the right place because I'm going to give you guys a quick crash course on how play to earn economics work, uh, and not just what they tell you, not just what the game companies tell you, but an honest look at it about how they really work, right? And how to position yourself in a way that you will not lose any money and maybe hopefully even thrive. If you're new to this channel, welcome, and I invite you guys to just smash that like button, hit subscribe, and tick the little bell notification icon because crypto is a very complex space, and the more you learn, the further you go. And this is what this channel is about, where we want to accelerate everybody's learning so that you can become well-informed participants and investors in the space. So without much ado, let's get started. So for all the gamers out there, you probably are wondering, how sustainable are play to earn games? And what are the chances of earning money if you get in on the game at the later stages? Maybe you miss the early launch, you miss the private sale, and you're joining in a game like Axie Infinity where it's all over news. What are your chances of earning? And the answer is it varies. It really depends on the games and where the stages it is and its eventual cycle that it will go through. And with a game like Axie Infinity, right, you may be able to make some money in the short term, but the question is, are you going to be able to make back like your initial investment, right, break even and then thrive? And it really depends on how much it will grow in the future. And you can see a lot of past examples like in the crypto space, as Axie Infinity is not just the first blockchain game out there. Before Axie Infinity came a game that was a bit popular known as BNB Hive. And this game consists of people buying bees, trading in their crypto into the in-game token to buy bees, which in turn would generate honey for them, which they can convert back to crypto. The game looks a bit innocent, but in fact it is just an accepted version of a Ponzi scheme where those who join in the game later were the ones funding the payouts of the people who joined in earlier. So you can see, right, in this game, you buy these bees, you have to buy these wax tokens here first to buy bees, and with these bees you get honey every second, and eventually you can cash out your honey when it reaches a certain threshold. And the reality of these games is you have a few people who made a lot of money and everybody else losing money. And you can picture this as like a money pot right here, right? You have people putting in the money and the pot grows, but at the same time, like these people, especially those who are early adopters, right? They start pulling the money out, right? They stop putting the money in because it's time for them to harvest, right? And eventually they start disappearing. They start cashing out, and eventually the pot disappears, and you have people who are just who are late to the game, like ending up holding a bag. And with that in mind, right, it's good to apply this concept into how many blockchain games are, because blockchain games, in fact, games in general are like their own ecosystem. Each game has their own ecosystem. They have their own set of input and the whole set of output. And somewhere along the way, you have developers wanting their payout for the work put in, right? So, and the biggest rule is what goes in cannot be bigger than what goes out. And let's take a look at some of the input factors for games out there. You have investors, right? Game studio, publisher, distributors, your pre-sale ICO. You have NFTs, player purchases, land sale, like booster packs, character equipment, right? And then on the other side, you have developers getting the cut, right? Usually in the form of salary or maintenance. You have private investors cashing out. Sometimes they get like a 5x, 10x cash out, right? And then you also have like play to earners. And as I said, right, what goes in cannot be smaller than what comes out, right? And this is the conventional trading gaming model where you have the studio or the investor putting in money up front. And once the game is ready, you have the buyers putting just becoming the rest of the input, whereas they buy the game, right? This makes up the whole game, the whole input, right? And then on the other side, you have developers and publishers taking money out. You have investors getting paid their multiple times on their investment in the game. And this model makes sense for some of your favorite titles out there. You can see, right? This has been the gaming model for since the beginning of time. And here is the play to earn economics model, where instead of expansion packs and booster packs, right, they just change this to like land sale, NFT sale, right, and like and people paying for the initial character. You also have the investor fund right here, right? Investors, they put money in and they want to take their cut out, and then there's also the developers, publishers wanting to get their cut. And then whatever's left is basically what people in the game of players get, right, in the play to earn program. And notice how the portion of play to earn is much smaller than like what's put in, because that is the reality of a play to earn system. Not everybody will earn, and there will be some people who will be making more than others. And let's apply this model to some of the games out there, right? So, for example, Axie Infinity, right? Based on our research, we know that there are like four types of players in this space. You have the grinders. So these are the people who are playing this like full-time or part-time, right? They're fighting in battles, right? And they are like making like the grinding and getting SLP potions, which they sell to other players. And these other players are known as breeders, right? They buy these SLP tokens so that they can breed the Axies. Some of them may breed Axies for scholarship programs where they hire grinders to grind and make more SLP, right? Others will breed to get rare Axies, where they sell to like super breeders who only want to deal with like super rare Axies. And from there, they breed them and make legendary Axies, which they sell to collectors, like massive whales who don't have the time to grind. They just want to show off, right? And this, you can say, can be visualized as a pyramid right here, where at the top you have the collectors who fund the super breeders by buying the legendary Axies, right? And then the super breeders fund the next level, which are I guess the breeders and scholarship providers, right? And then eventually these guys they fund the last level, the grinders, right, through buying SLP potions. And somewhere along the line of at every step, right, you can see that it's the devs and the early investors, they get a cut, right, through the early pre-mine, right? It's through the tokens that they start with, they can sell out at predefined moments, and they can cash in, cash out, right? So, and remember what we talked about, like what goes in cannot be smaller than what comes out, right? If these guys are getting, if the devs and the early investors are getting cut, everybody else are getting cut too, and money has to come in from somewhere. And for this model, it's usually from the collectors at the very top, who are buying these Axies in hopes that they can resell these Axies at a higher price later on. Whether they are going to do that is a different story. And now the question I want to ask is, so how sustainable is play to earn? And the answer is, it's not as sustainable as you may think, because if everybody wants to play to earn, not everybody is going to earn. In fact, on average, everybody will be earning less than what they put in. There'll always be an uneven distribution of earnings where some people will make more than others. And you have to take consideration of how much developers, publishers, and private investors intend to make. Because if they have given themselves a huge amount and they're dumping them at an early stage, right, they may crash the price, making the game unplayable anymore. And usually these games tend to reward early adopters and those who are active in the game, right? And as mentioned, right, token demands from these games usually come from late joiners coming in because they read some article on the news about people making money in this game and they want to get in, right? Eventually, this stream of new players will plateau, and that will curb the demand, and eventually, it will curb everything else in the pyramid. So imagine if collectors decide to move on to the next game, they found a new game that is paying out more, they're gonna stop investing in Axies, in legendary Axies, and this by cutting off the head right here, removing collectors, you're gonna lose one level, and then eventually you're going to lose you're gonna lose the first level, and then you're gonna lose the second level. Once the funding dries up, the super breeders they have no reason to breed legendary Axies because they're not making as much money as they were making, so they'll stop buying rare Axies. And when the rare Axie demand dries up, the breeders, right, they have no reason to buy SLP, and then we can see, right, it's like a cascading effect where eventually, like, it's no longer profitable to play, and everybody wants to cash out. They want to have a run at the door, like a bank run, and this is where people will get hurt. So this is just an illustration of how a token will go over time, right? You can see that, like most ICOs and projects, you have this massive run up followed by a dump. And from time to time, developers may try to put out new features and such, but it's not enough to keep the price up, and eventually it'll go down to zero, right? From time to time, you may be lucky enough where you have a game that may have like multiple pumps, right? Where you have chances to get your money out. And sometimes you're lucky, it may even continue on for a couple years, but nothing is going to last forever. And the chance of you finding these games is like playing the lottery, right? And winning the lottery. It's just not that high. Like, you have to be in a lot of games before you find one that will last for a while. So here's a quick guide on what is needed for a blockchain gaming system to succeed, right? The first is, if you want to be successful, you want to earn, you have to keep an eye out for these traits. One is, ideally, you want a game where not everyone is in it to earn. And we know that it is possible because there used to be a time where people used to pay for games just to have fun and not to earn. And I'm sure there are some games out there where people just, they are paying to enjoy an experience and not playing to earn. Right? Once you have a sufficient percentage of players who are just in it to play, right, the amount that they put in, like through the game purchasing fee, right, through buying booster packs or buying lands and such, right, can be set aside for the people on the other end where they're cashing out. Ideally, you also want a game where the developer tokens are vested, they're locked up for years. Because the longer the developers tokens are locked up, the more reasons they are incentivized to keep building up the game. So the last thing you want is a game where devs can unlock and dump their tokens onto the users within the first month, and afterwards they are all clean, they don't hold on to any more tokens, they have no reason to keep growing the game. Likewise, the same is the case for investors as well too. If investors do not have a locking period, they can dump the game like at a profit, like at the beginning or any time that they want. And some games are smart enough to have investor lock up period so that investors cannot dump onto new users, and that the game will have time to grow before people can dump onto them. Right, and you also want a game where there's a fair balance of mint and burn mechanism. And when I say mint, it means like tokens that are made, right? For the case of Axie Infinity, these would be SLP smooth love potions that are made after each battle, right? And then you have like a mechanism on burning where you are spending tokens, in-game tokens, for services and features. Ideally, you don't want these tokens going to the devs. You want them to be burnt. So that is an important thing to keep an eye out for. And of course, you want games where devs provide constant communication to the community and has a clear, defined roadmap. Finding the right game is like trying to do a tightrope, right? It is a balance. You have to find games where there's a good balance of growth opportunity and opportunities where you can play to earn. And you have to know that nothing lasts forever. Right. This is a chart of World of Warcraft. It's been around for quite a while. I noticed how this game has like a growth season, a plateau season, and a decline season. And it's to show that like the reality of most games that nothing lasts forever. People will eventually move on with newer games coming in, right? You don't want to be married to any games. You don't want to be biased, and just because you're making money, you are high level, you're doing well in this game, doesn't mean that you should have the bias of being in this game forever. As I said, games will decline, games will go eventually, and you want to cash out when you have the chance, right? You need to know when to cash in or winning to move on, right? And for some cases, if you are losing money, right, and it's getting worse and worse, sometimes you may have to make the call to cut your losses and move on, because you don't want to be married to a game and hope it's not an option. You don't want to be hopeful that maybe it'll come back up. What if it doesn't come back up? Then you'll be wrecked, right? So here's just some of the summary of how to increase the chances, right? Get in early, be active, understand the tokenomics, have take profit plans, don't be married to any games, know when to cut losses, and move on to the next game. So there you have it, guys. Just a quick crash course on blockchain gaming and how you can increase your earnings. Tell us in the comments below what you think of some of these strategies, and are you following any of these strategies in your blockchain gaming? So thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you guys at the next video. Peace and love, my friends.